I started to think, I'm getting hurt like I did when I was 14 years old. Mm-hmm. What did I do to like numb out when I was 14, when I got abused the very first time? It was a drink.
Welcome back to the Hopeaholics Podcast. I'm your girl, Natalie Eva Marie.
And I'm Chad Carlson, and you're listening to the #1 addiction and mental health podcast.
And you guys, if you or a loved one is struggling, make sure you head to askevamarie.com or chaddick.com and chat with one of our AI companions 24/7.
Or text the number right here on the screen.
Together, we are breaking the stigma around addiction and mental health.
And fighting the fentanyl epidemic.
Now, let's get into the episode.
Jessica, welcome to the Hopeaholics Podcast.
Yes,
Hey.
you're here.
You're
live
here.
in the
Finally.
studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've met digitally before.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Yep, I've been on the Recovery Out Loud meetings a lot. So
Oh, that's awesome.
come to
I love
those.
that.
Yeah. Love it. I started listening to you guys back in, I want to say August of last year.
Okay.
Kind of driving through, going to Tennessee, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, I'm going to be on the Hopeaholics." I was like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
And then just looked you guys up and was like, "I'll just listen to this while I'm driving." And
Oh, that's
like,
nice.
hooked
awesome.
ever since. I was like, "Yes."
Oh,
And
nice.
started the Recovery Out Loud meetings too, and
So that was post. This was post new logo, right? How is that how I would say it?
Oh.
yeah,
Just the two of us.
Wait, no. That
yeah.
Was,
So
that was-
I've even went back and listened to the other ones where it was the
Where we had three?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my daughter's funny because she'll see that I listen to you guys all
Yeah.
the time, and she'll be like, "Mom, you got to tell Pink Hair that I love her."
Oh my God, I love
Mom,
her.
I'm
You
like,
gotta tell
"Oh my gosh."
her.
Yeah,
I
She's
love
like,
her.
How
huge
old is
fan.
she and
She's
what's
8.
her name?
Ruby.
Ruby, I love you, and I can't wait to meet you, Ruby.
Yeah.
Holler at your girl.
Yep. She's all into makeups and hair dyes
Yeah.
and all the things, so I let her just go wild.
It's so funny because like when on the Costco hauls, like not yesterday, day before yesterday, these two little girls were in the basket, and they're like, they're always like, "Mommy, that girl has pink hair."
Yep.
It's
She's
always so
always dyeing
cute.
her hair. She's like, right now she's got the little like peekaboo hair,
Okay.
where it's got the little
Yep.
like in the back
Uh-huh.
of color, and she'll be like, "Oh, do you want pink or this or this?" And like one wedding, my sister-in-law, she was like, "Don't dye your hair
Right.
for my pictures."
Right.
And she was like, "Mom, I really want to though." I was like, "We gotta wait, hold on." So then literally the day after, it's like blue.
Oh my
all blue.
gosh.
It was funny.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's cool that you let her do all that stuff. I wanted to do all that stuff because I was into like punk rock and
Yeah.
I just wanted like a mohawk and
Yep, my brother had that.
yeah. My mom wouldn't let me. It was like against our religion.
Well, so with my mom, like she would never let me do that. Like even getting like I think when I was like 12, I decided to put highlights in my hair, and I came home and she was like, "What did you do to your hair?" Like so mad. I was like, "Whoa, like I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah,
Like, is
yeah,
it
yeah.
bad?"
Right.
And now
right.
I'm just like with my daughter, I'm like, "Do anything, like
Yeah.
do makeup, whatever, like go for it, girl.
Sure.
Get it."
Do you have siblings? You said your brother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
how
I
many?
have 3 brothers.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, 2 older and then 1 younger. So I'm the
Okay.
only girl in the family.
Nice.
So
And
You
you're
can relate to that.
I can. I definitely can.
yep.
And you're originally from Utah?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Do you still live in Utah?
Mm-hmm. I
Oh,
do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Born and raised
Yeah.
in
Yep.
Utah.
It's called Happy Valley too.
Is it?
Oh, wow.
I've
Where
heard
I
of,
grew up. Yeah.
I've heard of Happy Valley.
happy
Is it happy there?
No, it's like one of the most depressed places. Actually, like no joke. Everyone's like, I mean, it's beautiful. Like I really do love Utah and all the things that we can do because I can go up the canyon in 5 minutes and just be
Okay.
up there. You can golf, later on in the day or go ski. It's
Wow.
in one day and be 20 minutes away from ski resorts or
Yeah.
be golfing the next day.
So do you still live in your like hometown then?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
okay.
I grew up in a place called Orem,
Okay.
and it's right by Provo, which is also where BYU is at.
Yep.
So And then we're like 20 minutes away from the other college that's like U of U. So
Oh, okay.
they're both rival places. But in Happy Valley or whatever, when I grew up, so I grew up with 3 brothers, which is funny because one of my memories of like having brothers or whatever was we used to like wrestle all the time. And I remember they'd take their shirts off and be like wrestling around with each other. And I was like, I need to join in.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking off my shirt. I'm getting in on this. And they're like, you can't do that. You're a girl. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm going to do whatever you guys are doing. You know?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, that was always, as far as growing up goes, like I was always wanting to like be more of a tomboy and like not girly. It was just like get mud, wrestle, do whatever. And so that's just a funny little memory that I have of just like trying to be a little different, you know?
For sure.
And I always grew up kind of feeling a little like different, you know? I like to kind of say that it's like there was like a hole in me, and I always tried to fill it with other things. And I started off kind of like people pleasing. As a young kid, I had friends that would be like, hey, let's go play or whatever. And one girl didn't get along with another girl. And so I'd be like, all right, I got to make like schedule pretty much like, and this is like maybe when I'm like 5 or 6 where I felt like I had to create space for one friend and then another friend so that I could like keep the peace with everybody. And, you know, I was trying to think back of like why exactly I did feel like I started off doing that. Like, why was I needing to always like kind of people please, you know? And I think it just goes back to like that hole that I was feeling like I needed to feel just like I could help somebody, you know, and keep the peace. And like, I didn't grow up in a home where there was like yelling or screaming or like, the house that I grew up in was filled with love. Like I got along great with my siblings. I was in a safe neighborhood. We always, you know, would play night games and growing up, and we had clubs, and we just had all the fun things growing up doing. But when I got into, I was always also like a little bit rebellious, more than my brothers. And my mom would always be like, you need to get home before dark. And I'd always like push the button a little bit with the dark, you know. Okay, well, I'm going to be literally at dark. My mom's like, no. She'd have to like clarify. Okay, now you need to be home when the lights in the cars turn on, you know, or like the street lights are on. And it was like, she had to get really down to specific because I would love to push that button and be like real late. Yeah. This was like 12 years old, you know. And I had a cousin that, you know, her parents got divorced, and she's living in this kind of like apartment complex that's right next to the college. And, you know, we'd be out, okay, let's go running, you know, and we'd be running. And I also felt when I was younger, like I just got along better with an older group. I don't know for whatever reason that is. So these college kids would always be like, hey, you look older, you know, you're like 20. I was like, no, I'm 12. I'm only 13, you know, but I was always a little bit like, no, I think it's cool to be older, you know. I was always wanting to grow up more. And I don't know if that's just because I did identify with my brothers and I always wanted to be like them and be, I started going to little parties, you know, there. And then from that, you know, I would see people like drinking and stuff like that. And I just thought, well, this is a little interesting. They'd get a little crazy but it looked fun, you know, whatever it was, it just looked fun. And, but I never wanted to do it because growing up in the church, you know, you just were like doing that. And also growing up too, it was like my parents always said, in a long line of our family, everyone's an alcoholic. It skipped 2 generations somehow. And so I think they thought like the curse was gone or something like that. But I always grew up thinking if I ever drank that one little drop, I'm screwed, you know? And so I was always like, gotta stay away from it, gotta stay away. And plus it's a sin, right?
Sure.
Never do it, you know? But then at this party, I'm hanging out with these people, we're getting, everyone's having fun, but again, I'd always leave and I'd go home and just be good. But this one time, this guy just had, grabbed me and was like, hey, I need to talk to you in this room. He takes me into the room, and I don't recall a whole lot of it because of the traumatic experience that I had in it, but he had taken advantage of me. And from there, that day exactly, like, for some reason something clicked in me when I was like having that trauma experience in my body. I just thought, everyone's having fun, they're drinking, I'm gonna do whatever that is. And so I remember grabbing a vodka bottle from the freezer and just
Oh my God.
tipped it back and just drank, because I thought one drop apparently is gonna just and then anyways too, I'm also like all or nothing,
Yeah.
and I don't know where that came from, but I'm all or nothing. So I just drank it and thought, I'll just drink it today and then be good. And that feeling of getting that drink, like, numbed everything that was hurting in my body. It then gave me this like euphoric feeling of being like, whatever happened didn't. Yeah, and like I've heard you guys in the podcast and stuff, like when you talk about like that first hit, and for me it was like that rush, but it's hard to say that it gave you that, euphoric feeling of like, I have arrived, right? It wasn't that I've arrived. It finally just was like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not hurting anymore. And, from there, I was, the next morning, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like, something I did. It was me. I was the wrong one. Like, I should never say anything to anybody. And I didn't say anything for years.
Wow.
Kept that all in because essentially I felt like, one, I was in the wrong place, and because I was there, therefore it was my fault. And a lot of it was from my mom. She was a great woman. But she also just had a higher standard for me that I could never have. I never was good at grades in school. She always expected me to have the A's, and I couldn't get the A's. I just never could. And it's funny because now I'm like, I go into the mode of like, I have to be perfectionist at everything, but I never could strive to do that. So from there,
How old were you around?
this was 15.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I was that young, and then, but I took it and ran. From there, when I was drinking, like that one day drinking, I never wanted to feel it again. And so keeping it like a hidden secret also kept me drinking. That I couldn't keep a secret though. It was like very noticeable at 15 years old if you're like sneaking out, hanging out with an older group, always going to the parties, it was just like very noticeable. Most of the kids my ages weren't doing that, right? And so from there, being in that crowd of people, you also are around other different things. And I was trying to get away from the school that I was at. And so I was like, if I just trade schools, right? Back then, you didn't have the cell phones where you could like be talking to people and know different. So it's like from a mile away, the other high school, you don't know each other. And so I was like, I'm going to get out of this school, go to this school, and like change myself, right? They're not going to know who Jessica is, the girl that partied, the girl that did this. And so I went to this other school to try to, because what I knew what I was doing wasn't like good.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know how to stop. So I just thought going to a different school, I could do that, be this chameleon and go to a different school, be a different person. And so I tried that for some time, but I always gravitated to those people that just made me feel comfortable. And those people were the ones that were drinking, that were doing the drugs. And I didn't really like drugs at the time. And I had a boyfriend who I started seeing little patterns of behaviors of things. Like he would just be like super hyper, or like super angry, or I was like, what is this guy doing, And it turns out he was doing coke and heroin. And I was like, no, I'm not having any part of that. We're done. But we broke up, and I was pretty heartbroken over it. And then I get back with him, and this one friend was like, if you want to be with him, you got to try it. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll try it. And that day I tried smoking it, coke and then heroin, both. And that was not like off to the races with that. I was just like 15 and 16. I'm just doing it all. And there we go. I hit it. But yeah, so I'm going up to Salt Lake, and I'm getting drugs, and just to like be with this guy. And he, we didn't like each other, like, but I would just do it so that I could be with him. But then it changed into like, no, I like the drug better. And so I ended up just going that route. And it got pretty bad to the point where my parents were like pretty worried.
Oh, okay.
And they just approached me one day and were like, hey, like they'd always been like, hey, you need help, you need to get something. But I just never was, nope, not doing it. Whatever you guys have, I'm not. But finally, just one day they approached me on a good day or whatever. And I was feeling down and out. And they're like, hey, we have this idea about a wilderness program. Would you like to go? It's in Arizona. I grew up, my grandparents lived down in Arizona, and so we'd always go down there for summer and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I love Arizona. Let's do it. And it's in the summer. It's during school break or whatever. And I just thought it was a nice little get away from everybody and just be out in the wilderness. Camping, well, it was a lot more than just that. I'm grateful that my parents approached me that way, because I've heard some pretty traumatic stories, and I was with a lot of kids that had some traumatic stories of them just being like ripped out of their houses, But I had a really good experience with it. I grew a passion for wanting to hike more, be out in the wilderness, like camping, and I really connected with the way that these guys had approached things of like connecting with a spirit, or like so I remember I was out there, and we'd rub two sticks together and make a fire. That was the kind of like, I was like, oh, that's a cool thing. I didn't know I could do that, So it was like these little tiny bits of like taste of like things that I didn't think I could do that I went to end up doing. But I remember sitting at the edge of this huge gigantic cliff, and I'm all alone, and they wanted you to like try to connect with some spirit or some being. And I believed in God, but I also was just like, what is this like spiritual thing that I'm trying to find? I need to find this hole that I'm trying to fill. And I'm sitting there, and they said, you can whisper in the wind to your loved one or whatever, and tell things, and it can travel to them. And so I sat there, and I was like, I'm going to tell my parents, that I love them, because I'd really put them through some crap, And I remember, saying something, and I whispered to my parents, I hope they love me, And in this letter I got, my parents were like, my dad was like, man, I was running the other day, and I felt this love from you. And I was like, whoa, it works. It was crazy. And I've always had that connection with my dad. He has been like the biggest support ever. Like, I honestly, because being an only girl, like my brothers always joked around like, this girl could do no wrong. I could be on the streets and being a hooker or whatever, and he'd still love me, So lost my train of thought, but
you got the letter from your parents.
My parents, that experience really did give me an appreciation for like connecting to some of their being, or Native Americans and their history of things. But I get back, and literally the day I get back, my friends are waiting in the parking, like right by my house, and they're like, got a blunt, got a bottle, let's go. And I was like, this is my fate.
Wow.
It's just, I didn't know any other way of like how to be like, no, I can't say.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to say no.
Yeah. Where were your brothers at the time? Like, cause what's the age difference?
So my oldest brother's 8 years older than
Okay.
me. And then my other brother's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
And then I have the younger brother that's 4 years younger than me.
Okay.
Um,
Were anything going on with them at this time, or was it just you off the rails?
It was me off the rails. My oldest brother's kind of like out of the house. He
Totally.
went into the military. My
Okay.
dad's also in the military.
Yeah.
Actually, both of my brothers are in the military, and my youngest brother's not. But so I have a big military family.
Oh wow.
So my brother is off. You know, he was always just kind of like a checked out a little bit.
Sure.
And not, neither of them have ever did any drugs or anything.
Wow. Okay, so you're the only one in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And they don't even drink, huh?
Well, one of them now does, but I wouldn't diagnose him anything, but
I feel like it's so
but
fascinating.
normal.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so fascinating to witness like certain families that are, I guess, religious, right? So
Yeah.
I have family friends that are Mormon,
Mm-hmm.
and all of the kids are very different. Like one is Christian,
Mm-hmm.
one is full blown stayed with the Mormon get down,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, does everything kind of like, I guess, proper.
Yeah, like
right?
by the book.
By the book.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
With all the like, how they have so many groups and so many
Mm-hmm.
gatherings and so many things. That's her thing. And then another brother is like, nope, nothing. But we'll have, occasionally his drinks. So it's interesting how all siblings
Yeah.
venture quite differently when it comes to which avenue they're going to, I guess, pick, especially when they're having their families and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
I'd always wondered too, like, why was it me
Sure.
of all of them?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like I was listening to a speaker tape before coming down here as I was driving, and it was like saying it actually there's not genetic or whatever,
Interesting.
which is odd because that's what I grew up hearing.
Yeah.
But it's like the things that happen to you in your life, and it's not necessarily like the family or whatever, but as far as like with parents, was it that they were just out of the house, they were there busy doing stuff, and it's like I said, it's that hole that you feel where you're trying to whether it's alcohol, drugs, or sex, gambling, whatever it is, you're trying to feel something, and that could cause from addiction or whatever. And it just ends up, for me, it ended up being drugs and alcohol. And I have an eating disorder, so I also have that.
This episode is brought to you by Wolfpack Bags. This gear is meant for anybody gym, lifestyle, to anybody that's on the move. I mean, I like to say that us here and everybody that tunes in, we're not average. We're always a wolf. They have all the goods that you need, especially for anybody that is looking for a bag to carry their meal prep, a lunch pail, anything like that. They have you covered. So once again, go to wolfpack.com, use the code Hopeaholics, save 10%, and join the pack.
Going against me, I'm like, I got all the things. But yeah, no.
But my question is, why not you? Look at you
Right.
now. I like, and I don't know. I don't know. And there's always that debate about whether
Right.
it's genetic, environmental. I just say it's both because,
Yeah.
there's so many things, right? Because there's people that truly have never really had any trauma
Yeah.
that fucking take their
For
first
sure.
drink and they're just like,
Off-
woohoo, off to the races,
Yeah.
fucking stage 4 alcoholic from the Alcoholics Anonymous book. And then there's people like me who was molested at a young age. But here's the other part about it. That happened to me. But even before that happened to me, I can go all the way back as far as I can go that I can remember. I never felt like everybody else. I always felt different inside.
Yep.
I didn't feel okay.
Yeah.
And what you said with the alcohol, that's really what it was for me. It's like all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I feel okay. I feel like I think this is how everybody else feels. It wasn't alcohol, but it was meth.
Yeah.
When I snorted my first line of meth, I was like, holy shit, I can talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I honestly felt like too. It started off like trying to just numb whatever feeling, but then it ended up being like, oh my gosh, I can talk to people. I don't have that anxiety anymore. I
Yeah.
don't have this. Like,
I'm not
get
questioning myself. I'm not doubting what I'm
There's
thinking
not
in
that
my
voice.
mind.
That's-
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
The voice
something-
went away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The voice went away. The
Yeah.
one that said,
The
"Shut up,
chatter.
Chad.
Yeah.
Shut up. You're an idiot. Nobody wants
Sit
to
down.
hear
Yeah,
you."
sit down.
be
I think
quiet. Yeah.
that's what happens to us. I think.
I mean, alcohol did that too. I would love alcohol. You know, we were partying in high school, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know though, man. It's just like it's crazy. And either way, it like to me doesn't even matter because our last guest was kind of like had that similar thought of it's more environmental.
Yeah.
But who knows? Because then there's people like you came from a really good, loving family.
Yeah.
Actually, all three of us come from a really good,
Like,
loving
great
family.
parents.
Yeah.
Like parents.
Both of
that
them
were
married.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, my
grew
parents
up
were
in the
still
I grew up in the church.
Are your parents still married?
Yeah. My mom's passed away, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, but they would still be married to
Sure.
this day. Like
Yeah.
my dad still wears his ring.
Now, do you guys drink caffeine?
Oh, yeah.
Because like my religion didn't do caffeine.
Wait, I think aren't Mormons like it's something
There's
about
a
hot and cold
coffee.
or something? Yeah.
The coffee they don't do.
Oh, you can't do coffee
Right.
because that, like there is a thing with Mormons and like they love like Coke.
They do.
Uh-huh.
Or Diet Coke.
Is it Diet Coke?
Diet Coke. The women.
The women love Diet Coke.
Yeah, it's like the crazy.
The men's the
shit.
Coke Zero. No, I'm just.
I love every time I fly, I get it just a regular Coca-Cola on the plane.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
nice.
want to have a Coca.
Yeah,
it's the
it's
only
nice.
time I drink a Coca-Cola too.
I do love like a solid Mexican Coke.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
the best
they
in the
got
glass bottle.
Yeah, the glass bottles.
Yeah.
They sell those at different
Yeah,
Mexican restaurants
they
out
do.
here. We have good Mexican food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, keep going. So we're at
Where were
we back from the wilderness
Mm-hmm.
program. How long were you there for?
It was 8 weeks.
You get back and immediately
then I start
your
my
friends
senior
are like,
year.
bam, what's
Yeah.
up? Girl is back.
Mm-hmm.
We're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, let's go.
Damn.
Yeah. So then I'm
Back
right
at it.
back to it, and I, since I'm back at it, all or nothing thinking.
Yep.
I'm just gonna go with it. I can't say no. I can't
Yep.
stop it. And so
Back to Coke and heroin too.
No, actually, I didn't go back to that. I was like, can't do that.
Sure.
And it's just like me, just like, no, I'm not doing that. But I'll smoke and smoke weed and drink. Like that was my thing. And so, but I get into my senior year, and again, I'm like having those thoughts of like, okay, I gotta get away. I gotta get away from my friends. Somehow this is gonna change, right? And strange enough, like my dad had a sister that lived in Tennessee, and they had just barely started talking. They hadn't talked for years. I'd never met him before. My grandpa had passed away, and so they kind of reconnected in that time, and they came up with this thought of like, hey, maybe Jessica can go out to Tennessee and help our daughter. And we were the exact same age, and so I had that thought enter in my head, and I was like, okay, I can go there and again change who I am, pretend to be somebody else,
Yeah.
so that I don't have to like drink or drug or do any of it, and I can maybe get through high school and like become somebody. So I go out there and leave all my friends behind, my family, and I'm just going out there, and I get there and I go to this high school, and I'm trying to be this track star, right? Going to track meets and trying to do all the things, join these clubs. But again, I gravitate toward those people that are more accepting. And it's not that it was like, I don't want to like stigmatize it of being like only drug people is where I belong, but it was just like a feeling with these people. And like, I'm with these track stars, right? They're avid runners running every day, and they're like, hey, you want to smoke? And I was like, wait, you can do it too and be a track star? Like, maybe I can do both, right? But I start doing that, and then I get it plugged into the other crowd because I'm different than a regular drinker,
Right.
Or like
a
regular-
recreational.
Yeah, like the
let me smoke-
recreational.
Let me smoke this blunt, but then I can get
I'm
after it.
different.
and-
Like
yeah,
I
sure.
will drink till,
The wheels fell off.
blackout.
Yep.
You know, I'm drinking in the morning. I'm drinking, you know, all of it. There's no bottle left unturned, right, with me. And so when I'm there, I then get into this other crowd of like, again, doing coke and heroin. I'm doing ecstasy now, mushrooms, like all the things. And my aunt and uncle that are out there are just like, what the heck? Like, we thought this girl was gonna actually, I think they wanted me to be like a tattletale or like be someone that would like help their daughter not be like out doing crazy stuff too, because she would run away, she would, you know, do these things. And so she got into my head of like, or she gave me the idea one night of being like, hey, let's run away. And I was like, I don't know about this thing. What's this running away of business? And she knew how to fold the clothes right, stuff it in the bag. And we hopped out the window, and I called up one of my friends and was like, hey, let's, you know, hang out at your house for, but I didn't know, like, I didn't think that far ahead back then. You know, it was only like the next day. What we're going to do today. And I ended up staying over at this guy's house, and we ended up staying another week. And then, you know, it got to be, I think it was around like Thanksgiving. And I'm feeling pretty guilty because I've always tried to be like a good daughter.
Sure.
Right. And just that guilt of like not feeling like I'm connected to my family or my parents, you know, I was like, I don't like them thinking I'm just gone. Right. And so I ended up giving them a call. I was like, hey, I ran away from aunt and uncle. They're kind of crazy. They're just a little nuts. And so I'm like, I'm just going to be out here doing my own thing, but bye. But I'm safe.
Right.
And they're like, okay. Like what I loved about my parents was they were loving no matter what. Like, especially with my dad, he was like, you tell me what you're doing and I'll still love you.
Yeah.
No matter what. And so that's what I was like, hey, I'm out here doing whatever, but you know, I'm safe. So it ended up, you know, just being just that. And, you know, they'd pay for a cell phone for me to have so they could at least keep in contact with me. I end up, you know, dropping out of high school, doing just the drug thing, and living it up is what I felt like. But it wasn't really like living, right? You know? And I'm not being safe at all. You know, I'm always trying to get with the drug dealers or like people making moonshine out there, like all the crazy things, but it's very unsafe. And it's, honestly, I was kind of scared a lot of the time, but I just numb myself out. And I remember one morning I go to look in the mirror, and as I looked at myself, I was like, oh my gosh, like, who is that? Like, I did not recognize myself. I was gone. My eyes were sunken. And I just was like, that is a scary person. Who is that? But I, again, did not know how to change. And I was like, I just remember thinking, God, like, help me. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was like the next day or like a week after that prayer, you know, there's that little tiny prayer of like, God, help me. I don't know. I find out I'm pregnant.
Oh, shit.
And that was a really weird feeling because I was like, I tried to like avoid that, but I didn't
Right.
at all. Like,
right.
you know, I wasn't being safe. I don't remember or recall a lot of things during my day.
Sure.
So but I find out I'm pregnant, and I'm taking like 6 different tests too. For some reason, you can't just do one.
Right.
The one isn't enough. You
Yeah.
got to do all, and the different brands and everything. Well, I found out I'm pregnant, and I had so many drugs, like literally on my bedstand, that I'd just wake up from that and be like, okay, I'm going to do a line, wake up and go throughout my day or whatever. And I had all there, but I could not get myself to do it. I was like, I can't, whatever that being is in my body, like, I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah.
I can't. And I didn't do any drugs throughout my whole pregnancy.
Wow.
The guy that I was with who got me pregnant, that I was living at his house or whatever, he was like, I don't want any part of this. I don't want the baby. Like, you either it's adoption or abortion, like none part. Don't want any of it. And I was like, well, what do I do? You know, I'm like, there's no way I'm giving it up for abortion. Like, I'll adopt it out, whatever. So, but I'm also feeling like I got pushed down the stairs as well. Like, there was abuse that it wasn't happening. And, I got pushed downstairs and my ankle broke. And so I'm in this cast, I'm pregnant, and I'm just sitting there on this couch, just vegging out, watching this show.
Couch?
Yeah, on his couch.
God.
So I have to like be with him during this time as well. Like, while he's like, I'm just like an outcast of a person. I'm sitting on this couch. I can't remember the day shows that were on during the day, you know, those
horrible.
Yeah, all those weird ones. And I'm just like, this is my life. This is what it's come to. I'm a dropout, you know, loser that's pregnant, and I don't know where to go from here. And I remember just being like, I gotta go back to school. And I call my parents up and I'm like, I gotta go back. I gotta figure this out. And they're like, okay, well, you know, look around. And so I found this school that was there that was like this private school. And this is in April from my senior year. And I'm like, I gotta find a school. I get enrolled in this school. My parents drop whatever money they have to like get me to this school. And I ended up graduating. I knocked it out. And I was like, I got to do it. And I graduated May 26th. And I remember that day for some reason.
Yeah.
Because it was a day that I didn't think could happen, you know, but I knuckled down. My parents flew out and celebrated this day, you know, because they didn't know. I don't even think they thought it would happen. And we have this plan. They fly me out to home. They're going to have this big celebration. And I get home and I'm like, oh man, I miss the mountains. I miss like the home. I miss my friends and just like this love and appreciation that like my mom repainted my room like this pretty color. And I just felt so much love. And I was like, but I have a ticket to go back. And I just felt like, what am I going to do out there? Like, what am I going to go back to? Sit on the couch, watch TV, be in a place where I don't belong or feel like welcome at all, just to try to see if this guy will, if I finally have the baby and he sees it, maybe he'll want it, you know. I was like, I can't do that. I need to stay here. And I just be like, I remember going to my parents, I'm like, I know it's a lot of money for that ticket, but if I don't go back, and they're like, stay, please, we don't care, just stay. And so I was like, all right, I'm staying. And I was so sick, by the way, like so sick, vomiting all the time. And I don't know if it was coming off the drugs too, or just that I was sick from being pregnant, but I was like really, really sick. I was vomiting all the time. And my mom just took care of me. And all the while going through this, my dad, you know, in 2021, the trade towers, you know, hit or whatever, and fall, whatever. I can't speak. And my dad's in the military, and I felt like life was going to change a little bit when that happened. Like there was like that fear, that impending like doom, I felt like, but again, numbing out. But my dad finally gets called and he goes overseas, and this is while I'm pregnant. And I remember being super, super mad. And I'm standing at the top of the stairs, and my dad's in the special forces, so we didn't know where he was going to go. You know, it was like, didn't know. And so it was we didn't know until he was finally there. And I remember saying to God and being like, you know, if you kill him, if he dies, we're done. Me and you, God, we're over. And it's funny because with that all or nothing thinking, I kind of like saying that out loud. I almost just like remove myself from God anyways. I said, you know, because I threatened him, I was like, well, we're just going to be done altogether. My dad's fine. He's still alive today, you know, but because of saying that, it was like, I'd just given up anyways.
Sure.
And my dad went to Afghanistan first, and then he went to the Philippines. And so he's in the Philippines when I'm having my son. All the while I'm pregnant too. I'm going through these classes because in our church, you know, we would have these classes that were, they kind of like more so suggested that instead of having a single parent, you give it to a family.
Oh, okay.
So that the child can have two parents. And that was just always a suggestion or whatever. But I just was like, I need to know for myself what's the right thing to do. And so I went to all these classes to inform myself. I had, you know, I had this paper, and I still have it to this day, of like a pros and cons list
Oh, right.
of like, should I keep the baby or should I not? And on this list, it literally, very clear as day, was like, give this baby up to a family. It looks good this way. I get all the things back in my life. I can travel. I can, you know, go to school, go to college, have the experience of a, you know, 17-year-old, 18-year-old child. But there was this feeling that was like, I can't do it. I just can't. And I finally was like, no, I'm going to keep the baby. And I tell my parents I'm going to keep it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we support you with whatever you do. And like I said, my parents were the most supportive people. And my mom was like, well, if you're going to do that, you go to school and I will take care of him.
Wow.
Done. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So I go, I have my son born. He looks just like me, like just like my family. We all have this look with our eyes, our nose, our chins. And that was another like thing for me to be like, whoa, maybe God was looking out for me. You know, I was supposed to have him. He was supposed to be mine, not just anybody's. Cause like the guy that I was with, he had dark brown hair, like jet black hair, dark brown eyes, but my son has blonde hair, blue eyes.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's weird. But I'm like, God's, you know, looking out for me. And that I've always had that thought, you know, of like, God does exist. He just doesn't like me, you know? And that's a very hard place to be because one, I kind of relate it to like the way you see your parents sometimes is the way you kind of feel like about with God. And that's just personally with me, because with my mom, like, right, I could never be enough. I could never get those A's. I could never do that. And so that's kind of the way that I grew up feeling like with God, right? I could never be enough. I could never be perfect. I couldn't check those boxes. I couldn't do all the right things. So he's not happy with me. It's kind of the way, but my mom was the same way. So I have my son. I'm going to school. I become a medical assistant. That's what I went to school for. And I start doing really good things. I haven't touched a drug or a drink. And I'm 20 years old, but all while doing this, right? Like, I'm just kind of like white knuckling things. I'm just going with whatever strength, you know. I'm away from, I'm not hanging out with anybody. Just being my secluded self in school and work. I had 2 jobs. But I'm also feeling like pretty sad about things. And I'm feeling different for sure because I'm a 20-year-old with a kid and all my friends are out now drinking and drugging, whereas before it was like they didn't do that. They thought it was horrible that I was doing those things, but it's like I've got that out of my system and doing life, and they're having the fun now. And so I was like, oh man, like I kind of want to do what they're doing, but I don't want to do that, right? Because I know where that leads. But some of my friends are like reaching out to me and they're like, hey, let's hang out, let's do this or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe I can just like have a day. You know, my mom's like, go out and have fun. Like, don't, you know, do obviously the things, the drugs or whatever, but just go have a fun day. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I go out and I'm hanging at, you know, there's this party, there's drinking. And I was like, crap, what am I going to do? You know, can't say no. But, you know, I've got so much time behind me that I'm like, I think I can. You know, I'm strong enough. And by the end of the night, I'm smoking. And I get home and I'm seeing my son and I'm just feeling this guilt, like big time guilt, shame, It's eating me up. And I can't live with that. So what do? I just keep doing it because it takes away that shame and that guilt. And I also have my eating disorder that starts creeping up, and it's getting really bad. The drinking, like, it's starting a little bit, but my eating disorder is like very, very similar in that shame and guilt, where I felt like I had a voice in my head that was telling me, like, don't do this, don't do that. And I've always felt that my whole life, of just like, it dictates what I do.
Sure.
And I thought, but it got worse with my eating disorder. Like, I felt like the devil literally was like in my soul telling me everything. And it sounds super weird when I say that out loud, but that's honestly the way I felt. So I'm getting really sick eating disorder wise. I was trying at the time to like kind of help my mom, because me and my mom are like buddy now. And she's going to this gym, and she's like, why don't you just come with me? And I'm like, okay. And so I go with her, and we're like going to the gym, and they're measuring like your arms, your legs, your everything. And they're giving me all these compliments like, wow, you're doing good. You're doing good. And I was like, okay. I'm getting these compliments. I'm like loving it, living it in. And, but then it starts to get like worse, where they're like, no, you shouldn't be losing more weight. Mm-hmm. But they're not telling me what I need to do either. So I'm just like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm seeing the numbers go down. They're giving me the compliments. Why aren't they giving me these compliments anymore? And at this point, they're like, you can't even come here anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because it's so bad. Well, I was like 90 pounds. And, but I'm still thinking like, I'm doing something right. There's people from my high school are like, oh my gosh, Jessica looks good. But then it also goes to like, oh no, she doesn't look good. She looks sick. I ended up in an eating disorder treatment. It's literally like right down the street from my house. Mm-hmm. So it was super hard to be there because I could see, we'd go on these walks outside, and it was all in my neighborhood. It was like I'd go outside and I'd be like, I could literally run home right now, but I know I can't, because I really do want to just figure out what's going on with me. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to this treatment center, and there's a doctor there who's like, you have anxiety disorder. I'm like, oh, what's that? He's like, we will prescribe you Xanax. I'm like, okay, I'll take that, because I'm trying to do everything the doctors are telling me. But that pill also gives you the exact same feelings that alcohol does. And I notice it like a lot, but it's a doctor prescribed, so I'm okay to do it. I get out of this treatment center. What's hard with the eating disorder treatments is the insurance does not cover like at all really well ever. And my parents had to take a mortgage out on their house just to get me to go to treatment. And that's another another guilt thing that I had, because they're always putting out money for me to try to get better. And this is also when my son's, pretty young, so he's seeing me not doing well, but I'm going to this treatment center, but I get kicked out because I don't have enough money. They got me well enough, had enough weight on me that they're like, okay, finally, now kick her out. So I got kicked out from insurance, and so I go home, no skills whatsoever. I learned enough just to like be able to try to like refuel my body, but I get home and then I don't know what to do. Don't have any outpatient, no nothing. So I'm right back to the same things, same story, but just with food. But I also have this prescription, and I'm thinking this prescription is just going to help me get through things. Well, it turns out those prescriptions are worth a lot of money on the street, which I don't know how I found that out. It was just like maybe talking to somebody, but they're like, oh yeah, that's worth a lot of money. And I was like, oh, well, what does it go for, you know? And so I ended up starting to sell them because it's enough, but it's not like I'm not taking a lot of things. But so I have this really good job at a hospital, and I'm calling in prescriptions as well. So I find out that I can call in these prescriptions for myself. So I'm using doctors that I work with and their names, and I'm calling in these prescriptions, and I can get like a lot. And so I'm getting a lot of money doing this. Well, I'm at this party with this friend, and they're drinking. I'm not drinking. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to do these pills. And then I'm also going to make this money. Well, this is where I start to realize like I'm kind of an alcoholic. And I never had like even thought of that term or thought about it at all. Or that I thought I had a problem with drinking. Before, I just thought it was like what you did when you were young, or like it was just a phase. But I'm drinking at this party, and the next thing I know, I'm doing coke and heroin, like that night. And I wake up from this fog, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's scary. How did I do that? But it was just someone suggested it, so Jessica goes with it. And that was a really scary wake-up call for me, because I had work the next morning. Like, I wasn't planning on doing that. And to have that happen just like all of a sudden was just scary. Mm-hmm. And I lost my job. They just were like, nope, you're done. And I end up from that, I was like, I need help. Like, I need to get back into some sort of treatment. And this time I'll go to treatment for both eating disorder and drugs, but I also can take my son there with me. And so it was like an outpatient thing. I could have my son, he could come to these groups while I'm in group. He's in this daycare. It was really kind of cool. I liked it. I was like, oh, this is a nice little option. I can be with him, because I always really struggled at that eating disorder place. I really, really struggled with not being around him. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I'm there. I get introduced to drugs there, but I also got introduced to the program of AA. And when I thought that Alcoholics Anonymous was a place where alcoholics went to figure out how to manage their drinking. Like, to still drink, but to just manage it, live with it, right? And what boy was I far from that, you know? But the first AA meeting that I went to, in the parking lot, I got offered heroin. And that was like the weirdest thing for me, like, to even think about now, because I was like, wow, that's really sad, you know? I was like a newcomer, and I just got offered drugs in the parking lot. But that was my first like taste of a meeting. I didn't get, like, I thought it was weird, the chanting, the things, like the hugging afterwards, the hands. The one thing I remember is the laughing, though.
Oh, right. How old are you at this time?
I'm, let's see, 20. I went to that treatment, and I'm 22.
Okay.
Got first introduced to AA, but then, so I'm trying to stop doing the drugs and the drinking or whatever, but I'm getting back in, like, when one goes down, the other one goes up. If I'm not drinking and doing drugs, my eating disorder comes back full force. If I'm drinking and drugging, then my eating disorder goes away. So stop doing the drugs, eating disorder comes back. I got to go back to treatment. There's another treatment center down in Arizona. I literally just like, boop, Googled it, going. My parents work out another mortgage on their house. I'm just thinking it's going to be a month, get myself readjusted, and then I'll get my life back or whatever. While I'm down there, this program is like very, very into AA and all the other AA, you know, anonymous things. And that's where I really, really got a taste for that atmosphere, the the nuances, I guess is what you would call it. And I remember they said from that you could pick your own God, right? Like, and I was like, well, that's weird, because I believe in God. I don't have a problem. But, you know, again, I'm just not believing that this God can help me because I'm bad. But the thought of being able to create a God with my own understanding really was interesting to me. And I remember being in the treatment center and just being like, you know what? I'm going to create this God. He's going to be all loving, always there for me, no matter what. If I'm smoking a cigarette or if I'm taking a drink, this God is going to always be me, like with me, no matter what. He's not going to leave me. He's not going to, you know, only listen to me if I'm doing good. And from there, it just like snowballed. And I started going to these meetings in the mornings, like early. You wake up, you're just like rolling out of bed and pretty much like going to a meeting. And I thought, okay, I'm going to implement all these things that I've learned here and take it when I go home. And so I get home from that treatment center, and this is, again, I get kicked out because of the insurance. I'm only there for like a month. But because I knew that, I was like trying to prepare myself. Like, okay, I'm got to take whatever it is that I'm learning here and go with it. So I get into the meetings. I'm going to these 6:30 in the morning meetings, and I get plugged into these people, and I'm starting to get to know these people and like really like them, and they like me. They know my name. And it's just like a good atmosphere of people. You know, we're going out, and another guy has a daughter, and their kids are the same ages, and so we're hanging out and doing that. And I get like a good 6 months behind me, or close to 6 months, I'm sorry, because one of my friends calls me. I was like, hey, I'm having a birthday, like we're going to the bar. I was like, I'm good, like I'm doing well, I've got AA, I'm gonna be fine to go to this and just see my friend, because she's my best friend. I show up for my friends. And so I go to this bar, and I'm like, nope, not drinking, nope, just saying no. And I'm like giving myself a pat on the back, like I'm doing so good, I got this. Don't ever say that, because you don't. I don't, at least. And the like last 5 minutes of when I'm about to leave, this guy goes, why don't you just have one drink? And I was like, okay, let's do it. So I just have one shot. Boop, one shot. And that one shot, which is funny because that phenomenon craving comes back, right? But I wasn't going to let it, right? I was like, I'm only having that one shot. But I'm also testing that, am I an alcoholic? Maybe I'm not, because I did. I had that one shot, drove home, went home, was fine. I'm going to go back to my meeting. Maybe I'm not an alcoholic, but I'm going to go to my meeting somehow. And when I show up to my meeting, my sponsor has this coin for me, ready to give me 6 months coin. And she hands it and slides it over. And I was even thinking, like, I'm just going to lie about it. I'm not going to talk about it, because it was just one. Let it go, you know? And because my God's all understanding, right? So I'm just going to, like, lie about it to all the people that know me. And as she hands it over, she slides it over. I'm like, all right, thank you. And I like go to look at it. To thine own self be true. I'm like, shit, I can't do it. That's not being true to myself. And I was like, I can't take it. I drank last night. And she's like, she's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah. So that guilt and that shame from like, being like, and everyone was kind of like, man, I'm sorry about that. And then this old timer comes up to me. He goes, well, maybe you're not alcoholic and you're pretty young, so why don't you just, go try it again? And I was like, maybe I can control it, right? I'll go control my drinking. So I go back out and I'm drinking again. But I'm thinking I'm controlling it, right? I'm only doing it on the weekends. I'm only doing it here. but it's affecting my life in not the ways of like losing things, not like, you know, my son, I'm not losing my son, I'm not doing this, but I'm like, and I'm dating this guy that I really like. He's got 3 kids, and I'm drinking it here and there, but I'm just not, it's not giving me, because I've got this, you know, AA in me as well. So those thoughts of those, you know, repetitive things they were always saying. And I just was like, I don't think this is right. I don't like it. It's not like giving me what I like anymore. Yeah, it numbs me out a little bit, but I'm not getting anywhere in life. I want a kid. I want a family. I want to be with this guy and these kids. I want to help them out. And so I end up just deciding one day, and it was really random. I just was like, I'm not going to drink anymore. I'm going to go to AA and I'll try this thing again. And so I walk in the rooms, and this is when I'm 24. I walk in the rooms and I just do the thing. I'm doing all the suggestions. And there's one time someone, you know, you hear that. Sorry, my throat is like getting dry, but
Good.
they say play the tape through, right? And I also was like, I'm kind of cynical person by nature, but I was like, you know, I'm going to try everything because I want to prove them wrong. They say get a year, see what happens after that. I'm like, fine, I'm going to get a year. I'll do it. They say play the tape through. I'm going to play that tape through and prove them wrong, because what if it happens that I do end up drinking? You know, what if I'm not happy after that year? What if the promises don't come true? And so I literally did. I sat out and being like, I'm going to prove them wrong. But I remember testing that, playing the tape through, right? I'm sitting on my couch and I'm really, really wanting to drink because, you know, just not feeling good. I'm not happy with myself. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, let's play the tape through. I walk down to the liquor store, grab a bottle. I get drunk. I'm going to need a babysitter. I'm going to have my mom watch him or whatever, you know, and I'm like going through all the things. Then I'm going to be doing this when I get drunk. I want to go hang out with the friends. I'm going to hang out with the friends, and I may do some coke, maybe do some heroin. Who knows what's going to happen. And so I'm going through all the things that I'm doing that I do when I'm drunk, because I know my patterns now, right? And it doesn't end well, right? By the end of the day, I don't know where I am. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that today. And I have that choice now. And so I'm like, I'm not going to do it. At least not for today, right? And so I don't. And I go to bed sober. And so I'm like, I'm going to do that again. But I'm going to the early morning meetings again too. And I forget I got a DUI as well, which is an interesting thing, because when I got the DUI, it was Mother's Day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of all days. I was like set on being like, I'm going to be home for Mother's Day because I'm a mom and I need to be there for my son to get all the things, right? And it wasn't about my mom. It was just about me. And I'm at this bar with this guy, but I find out he's drunk. And so when I go to get in the car, he's like passed out. I'm like barely drunk. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to drive. And I never had drove drunk before. I'm like, I'm just going to go. So I get in the car. I'm driving. It's like 3 a.m. I'm 2 exits away from my house. And I get pulled over. I get arrested. I'm in jail. And I call my mom. I'm like, Happy Mother's Day. I'm in jail, you know, because she hears the little prompt right before. And she's like, really? I'm like, I'm sorry. I just, you know, come and get me. She doesn't come and get me. But she does come the next day on Mother's Day, because it's like in the morning or whatever. Anyways, but I hear my son. She comes with my son. And I was like kind of pissed at her because I was like, why did you do that? Why did you pick me up with my son? But he could hear me. He's like, Mom, happy Mother's Day. And the jail guy was literally like, I was like, man, this is like horrible. But that experience, you know, I don't have a car because I don't even think I had a car. I was just using my friend's car. And so I'm going to AA. People are picking me up from AA. They're like, can I pick you up in the morning at 6:30 and we're going to be knocking on your door? And I'm like, all right. And so I had this obligation to these people, right? To like, they're coming in the morning. I got to get there. I got to be there. And I start doing all the things. And these things that they're telling me are actually coming true. I'm starting to feel better. Starting to get things back in my life. And at 6 months of sobriety, again, I'm like, I'm going to get this chip this time. And I find out that I'm actually going to go to jail because I'm starting to, you know, try to clean up the wreckage of my past and showing up for court, you know. And the judge is like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. You're going to jail. So I'm like, all right, this is what it takes. This is what it takes. And I go to jail, and I go to jail sober, which was really interesting because the people in there are like, a lot of them are not, right? There's girls waking up out of a fog of Xanax, and they're like, I don't know why I'm here. And I'm like, I'm sober as a judge. I'm sorry. But like, I was also filled with AA. I'm going to all the meetings in jail. I'm reading AA. I'm reading the Bible in jail, like just trying to take whatever time I've got, because I know I've got like a month to do. And that whole month I just read, like, I don't even know how many books I read, but it was like Bible in the morning. I had a routine going, and all those things, right? Like I'm getting things, and I start to, right out of jail, I applied for working at a treatment center that was nearby my house, and I'm working 2 jobs. I'm, you know, taking on these kids that are they're going to be my stepkids because I'm going to get married, right? And there's these 2 treatment centers that I'm working at. I work one during the day and I work one at night. And I was just driving myself to just doing too many things. Mm-hmm. And my husband, or my soon-to-be husband, we're planning this wedding. I'm getting all my money saved up. I'm going to pay for my whole wedding myself. And he's kind of struggling. Like, he's drinking a little bit, but I'm like, it's okay. He's going to get this. He's going to come to AA. Like, I can just love him through this pain, you know, that he's going through, and he'll get sober too. I don't know. This is 2 weeks before my wedding day, and I come to his house, and, you know, I've taken his kids on, and they come over and sleep over at my house, and but I'm coming over to his house, and I walk up the stairs, and he works the night shift, so he's always super, super tired, but he's got this needle stuck in his ear, and like, I felt like a train hit me, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, and it was like all the signs of the things he was doing. It was like, oh, he's not tired, he's nodding out, like, he's not tired, or he's not showing up here during this time, he's not doing these things because he's using, like, his arms, he's always got them covered because he's a freaking heroin addict. Oh my gosh, like, I felt like an idiot because I'm like all AA, like all doing these things, and that I was like, I cannot get married to this guy. You know, I was scared to death, but I'm like, I'm got his kids, I love his kids, my son loves him, like, I love his family, you know, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. His sister's flying out, like, all these things, and I remember being so, like, sad. Like, I've never felt that kind of sad before. And I thought, man, I would really love a drink. I would really like to get fucked up like he does, right? And but I couldn't do it. I was literally like, I've just got to feel it and get through this feeling. Tomorrow's a new day. And so I did. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything. The next day is a new day. I'm like, all right, I'm still going to get married to this guy because he just needs someone to love him. Like, you know, the AA loved me through all of my crazy shit that I did. They, no matter what, were always accepting. This sponsor that, you know, it was a woman. I had no idea who she was. She didn't know me. She didn't know my past of things, but she loved me enough to be like, keep coming back. And I thought I could do the same for him. And boy, was I wrong. Our wedding day, I still am going through with the wedding, our wedding day. It was a really beautiful day. It was in the fall. It was up in the canyon, up by my house, and it was at this park, and all my friends, all my family, like everybody growing up, they're so proud of me because I've got over a year sober, you know, and just like doing the deal. I'm working in this treatment center, and everybody shows up for me that day. And I felt so pretty. Like, I had a beautiful dress that I had paid for. I'm paying for this whole wedding. And, you know, it's super cheap also. Like, it's at a park. But it's a beautiful day. But he's nowhere to be found. He's there, but he's also not there. Like, gone away. Like, we have in our like kind of church or whatever, we have this line that we do where people come through and like shake your hand and like congratulate you and tell you how pretty you are or whatever. And usually the person's standing right next to you, or like in the pictures, the person's right next to you. Well, he's not in any of my pictures. Like, I honestly don't even know if I have ever looked through my whole wedding album of like those pictures, because it was such a sad day too. Like, I felt so pretty, but so empty at the same time, because the person that I was marrying was not present. And that wedding day was awful. But I had been working in this treatment center. I thought, I'm just going to get him into treatment. And the plan was he's going to go to treatment right after I marry him. So that's what happens. He goes to treatment. I get him into this treatment center, and for free. And he's doing the things, but I've now taken on his 3 kids and my kid. We're living in this apartment, got all the things, and it's a lot for me, but I'm committed, and I'm committed to him now. But he has a hard time, and throughout our whole, 5 years of marriage, he struggles throughout the whole time, but I stay sober. His sister, was at our wedding, but she was, an alcoholic, and she, had very clearly had said that she had tried to get, a little bit of time here and there, but she was super sick that day. And I thought it was just, nothing really, but, she ends up, her with a distended stomach a little bit, and everyone thought she was pregnant. She's like, I don't know why everybody thinks I'm pregnant. And I was like, I don't know either. Are you pregnant? And she's like, no. And then, she lives out in Atlanta, but she's calling me all the time and talking to me because she's worried about her brother. And so we're bonding over that. And I go out and see her occasionally, because I was trying to take his mom to go out and see her because she was a little, she'd had a stroke, his mom, my mother-in-law. And so I would just take her out to go see her daughter, and she needed someone to wheel her around in a wheelchair and stuff. And so when I go out and see her out in Atlanta, she's really, really sick, but she's trying to still work. Her legs are swollen, and I'm just seeing all these like signs, right? And she's drinking a lot out there too. And I was like, man, are you gonna like maybe try to get help or whatever? Like, this AA thing, maybe you can come to meetings with me, because I like to go to meetings like all over the place. And she just didn't want any part of it. She's like, I got this. I'm like, oh, those are bad words. But so the end of that story is she does end up passing away from alcohol. I had actually flown out to Atlanta because her friend had called me and said, hey, you better come and get her, or she's coming home in a body bag. And I was like, oh gosh, like I didn't know how bad it was, right? But I go out there and she is really, really bad. I walk into the room and she couldn't even recognize me. Her hair is all matted because she hasn't even gotten up to go to the bathroom. So she's going to the bathroom on her bed. There's bottles all over her room. And but I'm like all filled with this AA. I'm all filled with like being in this treatment center. So I'm going to get her. I'm going to take her to treatment and she's going to get sober. She's going to get this because your liver can heal itself, right? And so I'm like, she's going to get this. She's going to get this. And I remember flying on the plane out there and then praying like, God help me, like get her through this. Like we're going to do this. She's going to be, have a great story after this. But, wow, I come back on the plane with her and take her straight to the hospital and she goes into a coma. And then shortly after that, 2 weeks after she passes, she's 37 years old.
Wow.
And it was liver failure completely. All the other organs in her body had also failed. And she was wet brain. That's why she wasn't recognizing me.
Yeah.
And that was a really, really sad experience because I was in the room when we had decided to finally like let her go. And my ex-husband, I'm like telling you guys everything, but my ex-husband wasn't there. He couldn't be there. He just didn't want to. And I felt really sad that he couldn't be there. But I'm there, and as she passes, I felt like in that moment, a door like slammed shut. She was gone. And that moment, I was like, what in the heck? That's so crazy. Like she's just gone, but she's right there. And her mom calls me and she's like, did she pass away? And I was like, yeah. I was like, how did you know? And she was like, I heard her laugh. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she's gone. She's out of this room. Like, why am I here? And so I literally left the room because I was like, I don't feel like being in there anymore. Made me uncomfortable. But I planned her whole funeral. I also prepared her body. It was a very cathartic thing for me because I felt like I was trying to do her a service and her family a service of like making her look like who she was. I had all her makeup because like I thought she was coming home. So I had grabbed everything from her house and I was going to get her treatment or whatever. And so I had everything for her. I had all her makeup. And I thought, let's get her makeup on her. Let her look like who she was and give everybody that knows her like that proper healing. And it was very healing for me. What I didn't know in that whole experience was that what I was preparing myself for, and that was my mom. My mom was diagnosed with cancer right after that. And my brothers and stuff had told me, like, don't look it up. Don't look up her diagnosis. Just don't. And I was like, okay, so I'm just going to live today like it's today. I'm going to go through the things with her. I would take her to treatments, get her treatments of cancer, and treat every day like she's here. I'm not going to, look it up or anything. And so me and her did everything together. And this is all while my husband I'm still married, but he's, really, really checked out. And I forgot to include that I had a son with him. And so he's almost 2 at this time. Yeah, I guess he was like 1.5. And then, so I'm going to all these treatments with my mom, and just living every day very, very grateful that I have her. And I don't look back and regret really anything. But so my mom passes, but I'm also pregnant with my daughter at this time, and I felt like my daughter, because it was right after my sister-in-law had passed away, I gave her my daughter has her middle name, Heather, so it's Ruby Heather, and I wasn't planning on my mom passing away, so it was like I was just giving my daughter this gift of having her sister or her aunt, I guess. But my mom gets really, really sick, and the cancer's spreading everywhere. It even goes, they said, there's only like 1% chance of it going to your brain, and she gets it in her brain. They had all these plans of like going on cruises or going to all these things, her and my dad. They don't get a chance to do any of those. The biggest plan that they had from all the things that they did was just a plan to go home and pass away at home. And we were able to give her that. So in 2017, she passes in August. And it was crazy because in June, I had my daughter early. I was going through a lot of stress on my body. My husband wasn't home. I'm having all the kids, dealing with a young child, also doing all the treatments with my mom, and I go into labor early. I'm 36 weeks pregnant, and I have her early, and she's 4 pounds, really tiny. She has to be in the NICU, so I'm at the NICU. I'm breastfeeding her as well, so I have to go to the hospital every couple hours to feed her. And my mom's up in the hospital dying, and then my husband's out doing heroin, and I'm trying to juggle all of this. And it was a lot, but staying sober through all of that was really, it's hard because I miss my mom, right? I love her, and the last moment I had with her, I asked her for forgiveness, and I was like, Mom, I love you. Do you forgive me? And she's like, you are sober and I love you. And that's like literally the only things that she could say at the time too, because she couldn't really speak. But yeah, that I don't regret any of that. And I don't regret the time that I, as sad as it is to not have her around anymore. Like I know she's with me always. For sure. But so I go through that, and I end up being like, you know what, I'm getting a divorce from this guy. I cannot do this any longer. I find out he's actually cheating on me while my mom was dying. And so I'm like, that's the last straw, right? Like I could not. Like I could deal with the heroin, and I could deal with his using and whatever else, but like once it started to affect me personally, like my ability to feel like beautiful, my ability to feel like, I don't know, like worth something to him, I was like, I'm not in this game anymore. Like I cannot do this to myself. And so I got I felt like I got strong enough, like from the help of my mom, to be like, no more. I don't deserve this. I deserve better. And so I get a divorce, and I also step out of the treatment kind of world. I'm like, I'm just done. Like I can't deal with doing this outside of home, inside of home, like all the things. So I'm like, I'm done. I gotta I'm a single mom. I gotta try to take care of all these kids again. And I just go into the real estate business. I'm like, I'm just gonna do real estate. And so I start doing real estate. And this is also, so my mom passes away in 2017. 2018 we get divorced, and then 2019, and then 2020 hits, and that's like a good year in real estate. Like it was, everyone was wanting to move. They were wanting to do the home things because of COVID. And, it was a good year too, because I was able to just like be at home with my kids. We were able to travel and do all these things. Like nobody was traveling, but I was. I was like, hopping on a plane and I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, and we went all over the place. We went to Kentucky. We went to Yellowstone. Like we were camping out. We were just having a fun time. And I was also like really involved in AA. I was getting into a lot of just like fun things. We do fight nights. We do I was having fun and doing a lot of fun things. And I really have always felt a desire to go back into the treatment field. I had a friend that lived kind of near me, and he's always kind of like followed me. He worked at one treatment center. I worked at another. He worked there. Like we were always just kind of like intermingled. And then we're living in the same neighborhood. He's married. He's got kids. And he's like, you know, and during, I guess, 2021, he finally, you know, approaches me and is like, hey, like, I see you're doing all the cool things. And he's like, by the way, I'm divorced. Why don't we go on a date? But also like, I've got this like business proposition of like, hey, let's do interventions together. Cause I'm seeing all his things and he's doing interventions. He's always coming out to California, working with Robert Downey Jr. and just like all the cool things. And I'm like, ooh, like this treatment center that I worked at, it was more of like a upscale, up in the canyon where a lot of like movie stars go, a lot of like, sorry, I was like, oh, hi. Yeah, it was, I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, me too.
I was going to say,
Like, what?
Which one?
Cirque Lodge.
Oh, yeah. I went there.
Yeah.
I lasted like 24 hours.
It's
not
beautiful.
saying it's a bad treatment center. It's a great treatment center.
Yeah.
I was not.
No, when you're not in
I also wasn't in the lodge. I was in the
then if you're in the studio, no way.
Yeah, I
man.
was in the studio.
Yeah.
They didn't even have detox back then. I detoxed at a different place, which I
Next
loved.
Step?
And I think so.
Yeah.
It was like just like right down the street.
Yeah, I worked there before. Yeah.
Yeah, that was in probably like 2012. To be honest with you.
That was when I worked there.
Yeah.
But I didn't work at the studio. I worked up at the lodge. So they're just like, it's funny because they're both the same, right? But they're totally separate.
Yeah.
More upscale is like up in the canyon.
The reason
lodge.
I think the reason why I was at the studio though is because I still owned a treatment center back then, and they scholarshiped me through.
Yeah.
So they weren't going to scholarship me up at the lodge.
Yeah.
People were paying big bucks back then.
Yeah, it was. I liked the studio, and I also I love that treatment center. They have a really good program.
Yeah.
Just because they involve like both the family, and
Oh yeah, that's great.
I like it a lot. But where was I at?
I'm assuming your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this guy, you know, we actually start dating, and I think I'm like 10 years sober now, and we're getting along or whatever. And I'm like, he's like, what do you dream about? What do you want to do? And I'm like, well, I've never had a guy ask me that, you know? And all right, what do I dream about? What do I want to do? And I started dreaming, you know, I want to go and I want to talk at schools. I want to involve people in getting, you know, young kids to figure out like, not to do drugs or whatever,
Sure.
but just like
Inform them. Yeah.
Keep like, especially with eating disorders, like
Oh
that.
yeah, for
that
sure.
is just I wish I would have known the things I knew now
Sure.
back then. So that's kind of where I'm like, I want to go to schools and help them. I want to do treatments. I want to get people into treatment doing interventions and stuff. And so, this guy is someone that I'm just working with or whatever. And then we're dating but I'm also seeing like patterns and behaviors within him. And I am like, this is not good. But I haven't really gotten into a place of like where, like I feel like I've healed myself and I was in a really good spot, but like in the program that they're always like, you know, if you're not fully in it and doing the things, then there's something that'll creep back up.
Sure.
And I really don't know if I've ever tackled like the deeper issues of pleasing people.
Sure.
And so with him, and I've always, like with my ex, you know, I like just love him through it, right? Like,
Yeah.
and seeing these patterns within him, like he starts to, I've seen him drinking a little bit, like, but he only drinks like very sporadically when we're first starting to date. Like he drinks once or like for 2 days, and it's bad, but it's okay because he gets, you know, a couple other months down the road. But I'm also like, well, he's like doing interventions and he's drinking too.
Right.
Like that's whatever. But, you know, he's also telling me all these things like, no, it's okay. Like AA is very shame based, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like I love AA.
Yeah.
He's like, no, it's shame based. It's this, and they're counting days. I don't understand why they count days. I'm like, well, yeah, like okay, I get what you're saying. You know, he's always just he was giving me all these like things in my head of like how to think differently a little
Yeah.
bit and challenging me, and I took it as him challenging me like, oh, my belief system of like
Sure.
to do better, right? But it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's changing me in different ways, and I see it, and it's slowly like it's like a chipping at a tree. He's slowly just like chipping away at little things, and I end up pregnant with my 4th child because I've had my daughter and she's almost 4 at this time, and we're dating, but I get pregnant pretty early on of when we're dating, and I'm like, okay, now I've like really got to stick around. Like I wasn't fully invested into like really getting serious with him because I'm still traumatized from my ex. Like I really just didn't want to be involved in another relationship. I kind of like being the single Jessica that could go out and do all the things in AA and do myself. But then getting pregnant, I'm like, now I've got to really like figure things out with him, but and give him, you know, this hope too. We're doing interventions and stuff. But he's always struggling a little bit with little things. He'll go out to do an intervention, and either he drinks on the way back or he drinks while he's out there, and I've always got to save him. I've got to like figure out how to like hide it from people, hide it from my kids, hide it from my dad. I'm like trying to micromanage everything so that we can stay afloat. Like don't tell anybody that he's out drinking or whatever, but somehow still. So these lies are also creeping up with me too, and I'm lying. And I try to tread lightly on some of the things that he would say and do to me, but I also, it's a huge part of, I feel like, why I'm here today. Because I didn't see what he was doing to me slowly, questioning myself, questioning my intuition. And that's a huge thing that I felt like I got back a lot with my sobriety and having all that time, because I trusted my intuition on a lot of things. I trusted that God was with me, that I could see through a lot of the things. But when you question my intuition, it questions like me, right? And so then I'm like, whoa, what? Maybe I'm not right. Maybe I'm doing this or whatever. And I say that because I felt like he was very, the right word would be emotionally abusive. It was always my fault of things in the end. And I'm not one to have confrontation at all. Like, I don't like it. I don't like arguments. It makes my body feel weird. And I'm always trying to just like de-escalate things. And I pride myself in that. And so, but he was very confrontational about a lot of things. You know, I would kick him out of the house when he would drink too much. I'd be like, nope, you're done. You're out. Go get a hotel. You're gone. I don't want my kids around it or whatever. But then he would be like, well, you kicked me out of the house, so I had to stay at a hotel, so you have to pay for it. Okay, I'll do that. Or it was like, I noticed he started using heroin. And I have a hard time with, I guess it's another debating thing, but like I caught him, he was very interesting because he like lied a lot, but it would always turn again, like against me. And so he was taking Suboxone, right? And he'd been on it for years. I didn't like it. I don't like Suboxone. And he knew that I didn't like it because it was always something my ex dealt with. He would use that against me with things. And so it was like when I found he was on Suboxone, I was like, we were here at the Ritz-Carlton supposedly doing an intervention. And I found it in his bag and I was like, oh my gosh, like I did not know you were on Suboxone. Like that's weird. And then it was like, when I confronted him about it, it ended up being a whole thing. Like it was all me. I'm the one that was the liar. And it's funny to like say out loud about all these things because it's like, why did I think that? But I did. I was like so convinced, like, it is my fault. You're right. Like,
Isn't that called gaslighting?
yeah.
Huh?
The nice
Is that what you call it?
term everyone says now. Yeah. Yeah. No, I did it. It was all about that. All the
Addicts are
gaslighting.
really good at gaslighting, man.
Very much so. And yeah, I was gaslit every time I turned around. It was like, so he was starting to use, because I didn't like Suboxone. Oh, guess what? Now he's going to do heroin.
So much better.
And yeah, it was like, okay.
Right.
He's using in my house. I'm like, you can't use in the house. So he would shoot up outside the house.
Wow.
And then come back in the house. And I'm like, you're still using in the house. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is sad. And while I'm pregnant, he's using a lot. And I'm like getting a lot of stress on my body. And I end up having my son early. I was actually put on bed rest. And while I'm on bed rest, I kick him out of the house one day and he goes and takes his car up and gets heroin. And as he's driving back, he nods out and goes off the freeway and crashes his car. And luckily he wakes up, swallows all the heroin and gets arrested. The cops are calling me at night. And at this point, like I would see, I have his location on my phone. I'm also going spinning out, I'm always following everything he's doing. Oh, he's up in Salt Lake. I know he's getting heroin. Oh, he's up here. I know he's doing this. And so I saw his location go up and I'm like, turned off my phone. I was like, I can't do it. But I had turned it back on and just blocked him. But the cops are calling me and they're like, hey. I'm like, why is this person calling me? And I answered it and they're like, you got to come and get him at the hospital. He's fine, but you just come and get him. And I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
He can go to jail.
Yeah.
But then I heard this, I heard him in my head being like, you made me go to jail.
Oh
You made
God.
me do this. And so I was like, fine, I'll just go get him, pick him up, take him back to the house. And he's like, you got to get me into detox. I'll do detox and I'll be fine. He's not fine. I end up having my son early, like I said, and he was actually at a hotel doing heroin. His sister goes and picks him up. He comes to the hospital, and I'm having my son, like, pushing him out literally, and he's like, I need Suboxone now. And I'm like, what? And so his sister has to leave, go get Suboxone, which you're not supposed to take until 24 hours after you've used, because it doesn't work. But he had to have it right then while I'm pushing my son out. And I was so upset because I was like, wow, this is really sad. This is about him, not about me. And that was a really, really hard pregnancy for me, or I guess birth, because I didn't have my mom with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really wanted just a female, someone to be with me And not only could his sister not be there with me, he couldn't. And I didn't have my mom, but, you know, essentially I do feel like I did have my mom there.
Of course.
But it was a really, really hard day. And that whole, you know, time that I was in the hospital was just really sad. Because it was just, he was coming off heroin. He wanted to be there for his son. Like, he's a good man as far as, like, being a good father, but, like, the addiction side is just, like, awful. And when he gets drunk, too, like, he gets really abusive. Like, he starts hitting me. I start getting really abused that way. And in my mind, I'm sitting there like, this is not my life. This is not me, because I'm like sober. I'm this, like, people can see on the outside, Jessica's good, right? But, like, I'm not when I'm at home. I'm miserable. I get to the point where I can't even go to meetings anymore because meetings upset him. Gets a fight every time I get home. Oh, who did I sleep with when I was at the meeting? I'm like, I don't, it's not what you do in meetings, but, like, it was just always a fight. So I'm like, I backed off my meetings so that it's not a fight at home. So I don't get, you know, any confrontation there. I'm trying to avoid confrontation at all costs. And that starts to, like, chip away at me, you know, like, not having the meetings, then I'm not having a sponsor. I'm not checking in with my people. And I wish I could see it now, but, I mean, now I do, obviously, but I wish I could have seen the signs, the little signs of little things that happen. But, you start to, like, get those weird thoughts again, that voice in your head of, like, hey, maybe this is a good idea, right? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I started to think, I'm getting hurt like I did when I was 14 years old. What did I do to, like, numb out when I was 14, when I got abused the very first time? It was a drink. I might think, like, that could numb me out just a little bit. And I started entertaining that thought, and I'm not telling anybody about it. It's just, like, sitting with me. And I remember being like, you know what? I'm going to go through with it. I'm going to get the drink. I grabbed my coat. I'm going to the liquor store. And in Utah, you have to, like, there's not, like, you have to be at one certain store, and it has to be state run.
Yeah. It's like Texas.
I just happen to be, like, right there at my, like, it's right down the street from my house. I go pull in. I'm walking in. Grab the bottle. I know it. I got the whole plan and everything, and I go up to pay for it, and I don't have my ID. Like, the one time I do not have my ID with me to go buy a bottle, which I've never, you know, hadn't for almost, I had almost 13 years sober. And so I'm not even, I feel like I'm not even, like, used to drinking anymore. I don't know what's going on, right? And so then, you know, I try to go pay for it, and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have it. So I'm like, gotta go find it at my house. I gotta go through the whole process again, but I'm not playing that tape through either. You know, I'm just, like, reacting on the situation at the time. And yeah, so I don't go through with it. And I'm like, I need to reach out to my people. I need to talk to somebody. 'Cause, like, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know, I literally, again, I'm like, God literally was there saying,
Bless you.
no, this is not happening. He's stepping in. And I felt like God kept that from happening. And I should have, you know, I tried to reach out to somebody, and I did it anonymously through this, like, I have a group of my AA people or whatever, and on Facebook, and I anonymously wrote on the thing and was like, hey, this situation happened. I thought I had my ID and I didn't. Isn't that God in my life? Like, right? And no one commented on it. And not that that's a big deal, but it was like,
hey, yeah,
sad. But they didn't know it was me either, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, then that kind of, like, creeps into, like, why don't I try that again? Let's test God one more time. I find my ID, like, I think it was, like, a couple days later, and I'm like, I'm going to test it and see if God's going to stop this time. I go, buy the bottle, I got it, and I'm at home, and I go in the closet, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I'm going to drink. I think I'm going to do it. No one's stopping me. And I do. I drink a little bit, and then I drink a little bit more. And it was weird because I was like, oh, I don't remember the taste of it. Like, I didn't even remember, like, and then that feeling starts to happen again. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this feeling. I like that feeling because it's going to numb everything. It's going to numb all the stuff he says to me, all the times he's, you know, pushed me, shoved me, done whatever. And it's like, I feel good. And I can forget everything. Sorry. It was hard because all that time that I had, almost the 13 years or whatever, I felt like was gone. And I so badly wanted to run to a meeting and be like, that didn't happen, you know, and just like try to do the next right thing. So I did. I got myself to a meeting and I went there and I said, you know, hey guys, I drank. I got to get rid of this feeling, that shame, that guilt. Like I just got to get right back to doing the same things again because I cannot go down this path. And it was hard because that shame and that guilt will eat you up. And I remember driving home and being like, I don't know if I can live like this. That pain and that feeling just like, I really felt like all that time was gone. I've got to start day fresh, but all that years were wasted. And that thought just kept hitting me. And so I was like, you know what? I might as well just keep drinking. And I did. And they say in the rooms, like, you pick up where you left off. I did. I picked up right where I left off and I kept drinking. I drank, and it was a different kind of drink. Like before I would drink and I'd go to parties, before I would drink and I'd do it with people because it wasn't fun to do it alone. But this drinking was by myself. This drinking was in a closet. Like the term closet drinker, that was me. I was drinking in the closet and then fighting. I felt like it was giving me like liquid courage too. Like I thought it was giving me this courage of like, hey, I can stand up for myself for once. Like I can actually fight back. I can have a little tongue in the, you know, or teeth in the game or whatever. And I would challenge what he said, or I'd be, you know, like more mean to him. All the while, so that DUI that he got arrested for, finally came back to bite him. It took like several years, but for some reason they finally were like, hey, you're going to jail. And so I think it was like 3 years after his DUI, he finally goes to jail for it. And when he goes to jail is when my drinking really, really kicks off. But all while I'm drinking, I'm trying to do things still. Like everything on the outside is okay. So I'm rolling into school to be a nurse, to then do detoxes for people. Like, don't know how that's gonna work, but that was my train of thought. And doing nursing school while drinking. Like, I don't know how that was gonna work either, but I'm like trying to also convince myself I can drink like a lady, which doesn't happen. But I drink myself silly to a point of like, he's in jail, I'm drinking like crazy. And when he is in jail, he also, they give him Suboxone in jail. But they also were like, hey, why don't you take this pill called Lamictal because it may help your mood. And when they give him that pill, I guess he has a allergic reaction. And this allergic reaction like was so bad that it burned him from the inside out. Super random, super scary, but it's called Steven Johnson syndrome. And he's calling me while he's in jail, and he's like, my throat is closing, like it's burning, my eyes are burning. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this pink eye or something like that. Like the jail's dirty, but it's not. It's something way worse. Wow. And they end up taking him to the ER, and he calls me while I'm drunk. And he's like, I'm in the hospital, blah, blah, like, you gotta come. And he's like struggling talking to me. And so the nurse gets on the phone. She's like, get to the hospital now. And I was like, what? And so I'm drunk. I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, you got to take me out to the hospital. There's something going on with my husband. And so we go up to the hospital, and he's literally like melting. His skin is melting. His eyes are melting all around him. His face is swollen. Super scary. Like, he's on the burn unit of the ICU.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. And it was scary because I thought he was dying, you know. And I was there every single day. I dropped out of nursing school. But every day that I'm there, I'm also drinking because I can't handle my emotions. I can't handle it. He's probably going to die, so I'm just going to drink so I can numb out on all these feelings. But he's actually starting to get better. He's... You know, they put him in like somewhat of like a coma because of the pain of all the burning that was going on. It was awful, but it was a 8-week like hell experience, but I'm drinking through all of it, not doing anything with my life, but drinking and being at a hospital. I'm surprised that none of the nurses would ever say anything to me because I would just be so drunk. I'd be like laying on him and like out, but he gets out of the hospital, and then they're like, hey, let's put you on methadone because you were on Suboxone beforehand. Let's put you on methadone. It'll be fine. And I just remember thinking, oh, no, like, this is not going to be good. This is not good. And I didn't want to tell him no. Like, don't get on the methadone. Maybe just do Suboxone. Like, Suboxone's better, like, because I've, like, convinced myself it's okay for all of these things, right? But the methadone really scared me. And I don't know what it was about it that did, but it did. And from there, he's taking the methadone, and but this methadone clinic like just ups his doses every time he goes. He's like, I'm in pain, up your dose. I'm in pain, up your dose. He's ODing every single day. Like, I'm doing CPR on him. I'd take my dogs on a walk, and I'd come back, and he'd be gray and just lifeless. And I'd be doing CPR on him. I'd give him the Narcan. He'd get pissed at me for giving him Narcan. But I'm like, I'm trying to save your life. Like, this is scary. And this is all again while I'm drinking. And it's getting really bad. It's just a nightmare. And I'm trying to go to detox too while he's trying to get better. And I think if I can just get 30 days, I'll be good. And he's like, you can't go because I need you. I need you to do these things for me. I'm like a stay-at-home nurse pretty much. And he's just struggling, but he doesn't want me to go to detox. I need to go to detox. I want to go to detox so that I can just get better. And I'm trying, so I finally go to detox, and I get into treatment, and I'm like, just give me 30 days. I'll be good. I'll get you into treatment. You can get off the methadone. Life will be good again. And it doesn't get that way. I get to treatment, and he ends up drinking too much one day, and my son was there, our son, and he had thrown him across the room, and there's like a big dent in my wall. But that day, like, all of a sudden, like, came to fruition, I guess, in a way of like being like, I leave the house, I'm trying to get help and get sober, and then I think everything's going to get good again. But when I leave, who else gets hurt because he can't have me anymore to be, whatever, the punching bag. He hurts my kid. And I'm like, that is not okay with me at all. Like, you can hurt me all you want, but you can't hurt my kids. And the second that happens, like a switch goes off in my head and I'm like, no more. I file for a protective order. I file for divorce and I'm done. And he actually gets sent to jail because the cops came over to the house. And this is, again, while I'm in treatment, so I don't know a whole lot of what goes on or what went on. I do know my child got hurt. I'll do anything to protect my kids. Anyway, so I'm trying to like think of everything that happened, but it was all very strange situations and things that I wouldn't have thought that was to happen today. But I feel like everything that took place was God entering into my life at a time that I didn't know what to do or how to deal with things or how to get sober and how to get, because AA had like left my train of thought. All the things that I learned there was just gone. I didn't know how to get sober anymore. I didn't want to go to the rooms anymore because it's so shame-based and everything. They're not going to accept me anymore. So I've just got to try to do this myself. I go to treatment just to get the 30 days because if I get 30 days, I can do it and I can just go from there and get another 30 days and from another 30 days and just do life again. Take care of my family, take care of my husband. But I remove him from my life and everything gets better. And I hate to say it like that, but I have learned so much more. And again, I'm in treatment and I enter back into the rooms of AA, right? In this treatment center, they're taking us to meetings and these are all my friends. These are all the people that know me, know who I am. So when I walk in the rooms, they're like, Jessica's back. Oh my gosh. But I'm entering as a newcomer. Mm-hmm. I'm picking up that 24-hour chip and I pick it up. And it's funny because I don't know, we're at the right protocol of it is whatever, but I wanted to come in the rooms and say I was a newcomer every single day until I had 30 days because it kept me humble. It got me to a place of being like, I am here again. I'm new. And this is hard for me to say, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to say I am a newcomer. And I walked up there every single time we went to a meeting and I collected all 30 days worth
Mm-hmm.
of the 24-hour chips. And at that 30 days, I then gave all those chips back and I got my 30. And it's ever since then, it's just kind of snowballed from there. I feel like I've gained traction again with things. When I came back into the rooms, that thought and that shame of me that kept me out of the rooms has now given me, when I came back, everybody was like, oh my gosh, welcome, mm-hmm. Come back. We're happy you are here. Whereas I was like, wait, I thought that voice in my head was telling me you guys didn't care. Mm-hmm. That you guys didn't love me, but that you do? That challenged my way of thinking again, right? So then I challenged the other thoughts, those other things that were like, no, you're not good enough. No, you're not this. But it also gave me this place of I really regretted that relapse, right? It gave me a horrible, horrible 8 months. I was only out for 8 months. And then those 8 months, it took me to a dark, dark, scary place. But coming out of that, I don't think and don't feel, and this is not because someone else has told me so, I tell myself this. I tell myself those almost 13 years, 12 and a half years that I had did not go wasted, mm-hmm. did not just disappear. I still have those. I still have all the knowledge, all those memories, all those things that I was telling you guys, the whole time I've been talking was not wasted because I'm getting all those memories back. I'm gaining that traction. I'm I know, I'm on fire now. I came here because I was I've got a story to tell. Because I hope that more than anything, what kept me out of the rooms for those 8 months that I did, I know there's other people out there that have gotten, decades, and then they go back out and they don't think they can re-enter into whatever program or gain traction to get sober again. No, you can. Like, I am here right now because that for some reason I am here. I went through the pain of going through all that so that to say that you can come back from something that you maybe think you can never come back from. Like, you can. I was in a meeting the other day, and this girl was like, man, I just don't know if I can, if I relapse, that you guys would accept me again. And I just wanted to like scream and be like, no, like, they say keep coming back for a reason, to keep coming back. Whether you fail and you never get sober, just keep coming back, because there's something that will stick with you. There's something that will then, if all else fails, like, as long as you feel like a good person, like, whether you still drink forever, like, I don't know. I just don't like the stigma. And that's why I like your guys's, the Recovery Out Loud, because it doesn't require you to be, like, there's no chips that you guys give out or whatever. But like, there was a meeting that I was in with you guys, and there was a girl that I think she was like, I'm drunk right now, and then what you said to her when she was like, I just really want to try to get treatment or whatever, or like, I really want to get help. And you're like, message me after and we'll get this rolling. And it's funny because I watched her from there. She came here, she got treatment, and she's like doing the thing and still comes to those meetings and is like now sober. And I'm like, that one little thing that you had said has like catapulted her into a whole nother dimension of like sobriety and like life again. And that was all just because somebody cared. And like, that's why I love this podcast, of why it started. Something that was super tragic that happened in your family, like, and the ability to have all those names right there of people that have come and sharing their story reaches somebody. Like, I just started listening to this thing when I was going randomly, and my friend was going to be on here, and it's changed my life. Like,
That's
I
what
wouldn't,
it's about.
yeah, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this podcast and the people that I've met through here. Like, one of the guys that shared his story on here, I met at a convention in Vegas for Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was like, we were randomly talking. Like, he walked up to me, I said hi. And then, he was like, yeah, I was on this podcast. And I was like, dude, I listened to that podcast. And I was like, wait a second. And then, like, I looked him up, and I was like, we connected. And it was like, and I've just met so many other people that are on this, that have been on this. Like I said, my friend from Utah came here. That's where the shirts are from. Like,
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Old Patrick.
Yeah.
Shout out to old Patrick.
Yeah.
Shout out to Patrick. Thanks for the shirt.
How much time do you have now?
I have 10 months.
Yeah, it's amazing. And just to be clear, I think also we tell ourselves, like, yes, we've experienced, him and I too, of like the guilt and shame not coming back into the rooms because relapse is a part of our story. But that is a lie. And like, there are going to be humans in places that want to talk or, do that whole thing. But at the end of the day, it comes down to us being willing enough and desperate enough to get the fuck back in the room, because we will die.
Yeah.
And that's really where it comes from. And that's why, like, Recover Out Loud and all the things that we try to do is we welcome everyone. Doesn't matter if you have a day, if you have 20 years, if you have no time at all. We just want you here and trying to get better, because I think the disease tells us that we are by ourselves, we are alone,
Well, that's
and
what it wants.
nobody else cares about us, because that is where it wants.
That's where it wants us.
Exactly.
Because we have a disease that wants to kill us, right? It's like crazy. And it's not like a disease like cancer, right? That's just, going after your body. It attacks your mind.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
and it's
Exactly.
crazy. And the thing is that, like, and that's why we Recover Out Loud, though, is because we are relapsers, and relapse is part of my story. And I have been in that completely helpless, and I had completely given up. And I want people to know that there's no shame in relapsing, and there's no shame in walking back into the rooms, even though there's people in the rooms, but like, not in our rooms.
Yeah.
Like, not in my room.
Mm-mm.
You know, any room out I'm in and somebody's relapse, I'm the first one to share, to welcome them.
Yeah.
Because I know exactly how they feel and how hard it can be to walk back into those rooms. But man, just walk in.
Yeah.
Just
We
walk
love
in.
you. We love you.
100%.
Like, you think I'm gonna go if my mom's breast cancer comes back? I'm gonna shame her because what did you do? You didn't eat right.
Yeah.
You didn't follow the protocol. You can
Yeah.
follow every frickin' protocol that a doctor gives you, and you might have a bad day. We're all one bad decision away from being right back in the same spot we were at. And look, you allowed somebody to chip away at your soul, really, and at what you already believe to be true. But I'll bet you $10 that'll never happen to you again.
Oh, yeah.
No.
No
way.
man's gonna ever come in your life and chip away at your fucking foundation,
Nope.
because now that foundation is secure.
Yep.
And like, I'll never leave the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, or I'll never leave the program itself. The program's the steps, and I always like to be clear with people on that. The rooms are great, they're amazing, but if you're not doing some type of work on a daily basis,
Yeah. The action.
the actual action.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is action in getting up and going to a meeting and listening to other people. There's that that one addict helping another, or one alcoholic helping another is without parallel. Like, we know each other better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
When you're sharing, I can hear it. I get it. Like, I get it. And you don't lose that time. I had 9 years. I went out. We still have the years of recovery. But the one thing I want to correct people on, and we don't pick up right where we left off. We pick up like we had never stopped using or drinking. So our disease progresses even in our recovery.
Yeah. Doing push-ups.
It's
Well, oh my God.
fucking getting stronger and crazier, and
Yeah.
And
When I stopped, I wasn't doing.
you weren't fucking.
There
doing
was no
that.
fentanyl
Yeah.
back when I was doing heroin. There was nothing like.
Totally.
Now there is, and it's like everything is a lot stronger. Like the pot is
All of it.
stronger. Like
Everything.
it's scary.
Well, we appreciate you coming down here and sharing your
Yeah.
experience, strength, and hope, and being vulnerable on the podcast.
Yeah.
And you're going to help so many people, because how many moms don't come back to the rooms? A
Yeah.
lot.
A lot.
So good for you.
Somebody,
There's not a lot of strong women, and those women need other women to then help get more to like get this thing.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
appreciate you guys letting me be on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.